I get asked a lot of questions about collecting Star Wars and other action figures, so I thought it'd be fun to take a look at 10 questions I'm asked a lot and give you my answers to them. Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with another video. What are we going to talk about today? Well, you saw it in the thumbnail. You saw it in the teaser at the beginning of this video, and you saw in the title. I'm going to take a look at 10 questions I get asked the most and give you my answer for them. Most of these will be related to vintage Star Wars collecting, but all of them's not limited to that, and you can apply a lot of it to something else. But now, before we get started, I just want to tell you at junkmanmerch.com, we've got a limited edition mug. Now, what I'm going to try to do maybe once a month is do a limited edition mug or t-shirt where it will be only on the site for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, but probably 1 week, and then I'm going to take it off. Then the first one we're going to do is the action figure mug right here. Now, I've got another action figure mug that's pretty cool, but this one I really like. Might get it for yourself. If you're watching this on the day I uploaded, which is the 11th of July, it's only $11. It's on sale right now. I got that out of the way, so let's do the top 10 questions you guys usually ask me. I get asked these a lot, so I figure these would be the best ones to do. Let's go. Number 10. What is your most prized item in your collection? That's a good question right there, and a hard question right there. I meant to bring it up here. I got it downstairs. The only Star Wars vintage thing I have in my house that's downstairs in the living room, that's my TIE Bomber. Keep wanting to say a Tom Bomber. Die-cast TIE Bomber released in a test market in 1980. These wasn't wide released. There's still a lot of them out there, but I found this one on Craigslist not too long ago. It's in good shape. Usually they're really yellow. This one's got some yellowing to it, but a lot of them is really bad yellow, and I really love that thing. Now, I don't really have a huge collection of rare stuff. Usually what you see back here is what you get. I've got some other things in boxes, but I don't really have a huge collection. I'm not one to put my collection all out on the table, put them all in glass cases, and look what I got type of guy. I put this up for the studio, but most of the time I don't think you have to be a huge collector to know a lot and love vintage Star Wars toys or toys altogether. I've got some carded figures that you can't see in the shot. But I guess probably the best thing I've got in my collection, and I meant to bring, hold on just a second. This is probably if you ask my greatest thing in my collection, it might be this. And you're thinking a lunchbox. What you got in there? What is that? A lunchbox full of broken hearts? Oh, no, it's not. Oh. Alvin. Show you what I have in here. Black Renee, who used to always make me laugh that his name was Renee. I'm not going to pull them all out. Look at this. People's like, you can watch Toy Palooza and have that fixed. I was like, no, I don't want. Why do I want to fix this stuff? Look at this. Why do I want to fix this stuff? I like them beat up. Because these are my original Star Wars. Now, some of these you saw me on. Remember I did a video where I went back to my childhood and dug up some stuff I buried as a kid? I think this one was in there in the Belloc. But all these you see in here is my original collection. That's right, my original collection is in here. Got an R2 missing the sensor scope. So to me, although I've got the TIE Bomber, I've got some carded figures, I got a man-to-man on card down there, and they might be worth some money. To me, nothing in my collection, even if I buy it today, is gonna beat stuff I can look at, hold, touch, and I can say, hey, I played with that as a kid. I can have memories. See, I can just, let me open it back up real quick. I remember putting this figure, not one like it, this actual figure in a glass of water with ice, put it in the freezer, let it freeze up overnight, and then having a Han and carbonite. So I don't care if I got something rare that's nice, but to me, nothing can beat what's in this box here. If there was a fire and I had to grab something, I would probably grab this right here. Again, it might not be worth a lot, they might be beat up, they might be damaged and everything, but to me, you can't beat knowing that these are the ones you actually play with as a child. Let me put the box back. Okay, we got number 10 out of the way. Number 10 is out of the way. Here we go. Number 9. Would you consider a Power of the Force action figure without the coin complete? Yes, I do. Don't you? Don't anyone? Does anyone? Now you're saying, but Junkman, the Power of the Force figures came with the coin. That's like saying a gun or a cape or something. It's not complete if it doesn't have the coin. Well, Tri-Logo figures, the same figures in the Power of the Force line, but released on the Tri-Logo card, didn't come with a coin. So if, let's say you get a let's say you get a Luke Stormtrooper, Tri-Logo, no coin. So if it's loose, how do you say, I'm collecting Power of the Force, but that's Tri-Logo? And besides, I don't count coins. That's an accessory. I don't count that as part of the loose. It has nothing. It wasn't in the movie. Now, if Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper walked around with a big giant coin in his hand, I would count that as being that you needed to complete the figure. But the way I look at it, as long as you got the figure, as long as you got the gun or cape or anything that goes with that figure, that's what a complete figure is. A coin doesn't complete the figure. The coin has nothing. It's just a little bonus thing. So, no, I don't count having the coin as being needed to say you have a complete action figure from the Power of the Force line. And again, because the Tri-Logo figures didn't even come with them. So, where are we at now? This is going to be a good one here. How do you feel about grading action figures? Whew, got all day for this one here. I've been meaning to do a whole video on this and never got around to it. So maybe this is a good time to talk about this one. Again, this is my own personal opinions here. Don't want to upset anyone. Don't have to agree with me. But I do not like grading action figures. I know they started grading comic books, and people started grading before that, probably baseball cards, and moved on to action figures. I don't like it. I just don't see if I can't buy a figure and hold it in my hand, you got to touch something. It's like going to a museum. Yeah, a museum's nice, but everything's behind glass. And when they have something out of that museum, you want to touch it. There's something about just touching something or an action figure holding something that just connects you to that past. And that's why you're mostly collecting the vintage, older stuff, to connect you with that past. And holding that 12-inch Luke Skywalker or that loose Lobot, something in your hand, touching it, just really connects you with that toy more than having it behind glass, sitting it up on a shelf.
Sir, does tactile contact alter your perception of Phoenix?
Oh, yes. For humans, touch can connect you to an object in a very personal way, make it seem more real.
Now, I do make some exceptions to the rule. If you got a rare figure, let's say a double tip Darth Vader lightsaber, you might want to put that figure, you have it graded. Helps you, one thing, for insurance purposes in case your house catches on fire or it gets stolen, but it's really rare. Now, see, I didn't take my own advice, and I had a double tip Luke Skywalker early bird figure and had it just sitting out with everything else, and the saber broke. And I'll never have another double tip figure, I know. But if it's rare plastic or vinyl cape Jawa on a card, I can see grading something like that. I just don't see grading a Lobot, a loose Lobot. Grading it, like I said, I just want to touch it. I don't want it behind glass. Again, this is just my preference. You might feel a different way. You might say, hey, I want my Lobot behind glass. I don't want anyone to ever touch my Lobot. Hey, keep your hands off my Lobot. But that's just me. Again, if it's a rare item, I can see insurance purposes, and it's like, it's rare, it's worth a lot of money, you might want to get that graded. And I don't really have, holding a vinyl cape Jawa. For me personally, I don't have any connection to holding that. It doesn't bring, I never had one as a kid, so it doesn't bring anything back. As long as I have an original Jawa, I'm okay. But that's how I feel about that. And what is that? That is number 9. Number 9. Why do you hate repos? Or another word, reproductions. Or another word for that, bootlegs. I don't hate the vintage bootlegs. I love those. Those are really cool to collect. Why do you hate? Well, this is something that's really been kind of said about that. I hate repos. Now, I do. I don't want repos in my collection. Again, this is my own personal opinion. I'm speaking from my own collection. I'm not talking about yours. I just don't see the thrill of having a figure, and it's not a real figure. It's not the figure I had as a kid. It's a Luke Skywalker somebody made at his house that looks 99% like the figure I had as a kid. Or he comes with or it's the original figure and he comes with a lightsaber that somebody made and it's not the one that Kenner made. Just to me, that's no fun. It just takes the fun out of it. And people's gonna say, but that stuff's expensive. Well, shit, there's a lot of shit in this world that's expensive and I don't have because it's too expensive. I don't want a bootleg of it. I don't want a reproduction of it. There's some cars that I can't afford, but I wouldn't buy a reproduction of it. Probably couldn't afford it if I wanted to anyway. But to me personally, I don't see the thrill of saying, hey, come look at my Star Wars collection. Look, I have all the figures loose and complete, although they're not the original parts and everything, and printed off some stickers, and I got my own, I had a friend make the gun for me. It just, part of the whole collection for me is the hunt. I've got a Luke Stormtrooper loose, it's right up here. Took me about 10 years to get the helmet for it because I wouldn't get a reproduction. Cost me a lot of money, but every once in a while I would put that money, I would just put a couple of dollars to the side. $3 here, $5 here, $10 here, saved up to where I knew what I could pay for a real one, and I used that money that I saved for 10 years to buy a real one. You don't have to be in a hurry to get your collection done. And wouldn't it, at the end of the day, at least for me, maybe not the same for you, wouldn't it just make you feel better? Hey, I got original, loose collection of figures. And guess what? No repos. All real. So that's just my take on it again, guys. Just my take on it. Where were you? Have you ever let a kid borrow a Star Wars toy and they didn't give it back? Okay, now I can't really think of anything Star Wars related that I didn't get back as a kid. I was about the only one that played with Star Wars. Now, all my friends had Star Wars, but none of them got into playing with them as much. I never went really much to it. I went to Boyd's house across the street. We played sometime, but I never really played. Usually, me and my brother would play when he was younger. And most of the time, when I played with my Star Wars figures, it was by myself. Yeah, I played with myself a lot. This is not Star Wars related, but I still think about it to this day. Her name was Angela. Actually, it was Angel. Now that I think about it, it was Angel. And I had to be in probably the 9th grade, maybe 10th grade, probably 9th grade. I let her borrow my Zelda 2, Adventures of Link. I love that game. I never cared for the original Zelda game, but I love part 2. I let her borrow that game. Never, ever got it back. And it still haunts me to the days. I can remember now it's probably been about 10 or 15 years ago, when I found her on Facebook and she wanted to be a friend. And the first thing I did was like, hey, where's my Zelda game? Where's my Zelda 2 game? She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, you borrowed my Zelda 2 in 1989 and never gave it back. What's up? And I can remember at a payphone at the school, calling her house when I knew she was at school and her mom was at home to tell her, hey, your daughter borrowed my Nintendo game and I haven't seen it. And I still never got it back to this day. I've given up. I don't think I'll ever get it back. But I still, every once in a while, I'll still bring it up. If I see her on Facebook, I'll comment and say, hey, how are you enjoying that Zelda 2? So where are we at now? Let's see, where are we at now? Did you not know they made some Kenner action figures until you were older? Now, yes, that is true. Probably around 92, 93 when I started getting into the vintage collection, going back buying the old Star Wars toys. I bought a book price guide, Star Trek and Star Wars collectible. If I can find a photo, I'll put it right here. A lot of you probably know it. And I can remember flipping through that book. It didn't have many pictures. It had a few, reading the list. And it's mostly those Power of the Force figures. I had all the figures before that, but I can remember going through that list, and I couldn't believe. I remember the first one I had a picture of was Anakin Skywalker. I was like, they made an Anakin Skywalker? What? Luke Stormtrooper just blew my head. That one really blew my mind. I was like, a Stormtrooper Luke? And then I saw Han Carbonite. I was so shocked. They didn't have photos of this stuff in this book. And, I couldn't really just run to the internet, which I probably had Prodigy or AOL back then, and pull up pictures of them. So in my head, I had to imagine what these figures look like. That was until I could get on the internet or find some other collectible book and track it down. I was amazed. I couldn't believe they made an Anakin Skywalker and other aliens that I hadn't really heard of. A man-to-man. I didn't know what all that was. But Han Carbonite, Luke Stormtrooper, that just blew my mind. Because I was thinking, man, if I had that when I was a kid playing with Star Wars, I would have definitely loved that one. That is true right there. Let's see, where we at? Number 4, vintage Star Wars figures are so expensive. How does someone like me, without deep pockets, get into collecting Star Wars figures? That's a good question. I think I did a whole video on this. So I'm going to shorten this and make it kind of like not going to go through a whole thing like I did a video, a whole 10-minute thing about it. But here's what you do. First, you have to decide what you're going to collect when it comes to the vintage stuff, because it is very pricey. You can go with loose. You can go loose and complete. You can go with just wanting stuff in the package, on the card, in the box. So you have to first decide what you want, or maybe you want it all. But it's best to start with a focus. If I was just getting into vintage Star Wars stuff, I would go with loose, because that's carded box stuff is going to be very pricey. So if you're talking about collecting on a budget, I would start with loose. And here's what I would do. Sure, you want to check eBay, but that's not going to be a gamble. You want to check around anywhere you can. YouTube, Facebook, Marketplace, anywhere that somebody's selling used stuff, even if it's not toy related. It's better if it's not. You look around. And what you want to do, get you a budget first. Maybe put you $100 to a side. Say that's going to go to Star Wars. You can either start buying the stuff. You don't care if they're complete or not. Just buy them like that, or trying to find a deal. But I would just try to buy up as much as I can, because you can use that stuff later for trade. You buy some loose figures, you buy some weapons and stuff, and then before you know it, you're like, hey, I got a low-grade spear, and this guy wants a low-grade spear, but he's got a figure that I want. And start trading. Go to the Facebook groups and hang out in there and meet some people. Do some trading. So I would take maybe that small budget, buy maybe a bunch of stuff on eBay that you can, or wherever you can buy it that's not, expensive. Get you a little group of something that's good for trading here and there. That's how I would do it, at least to start with. Let's see, where are we at? Number 3, what is your favorite Star Wars item as a kid that wasn't action figure related? Whew. Now that's a tough one right there too, because really, but not really. I couldn't think of that much that was Star Wars related that I played with that wasn't action figure related. I mean, what else was there? There's Presto Magic during the Return of the Jedi line, and it's not really a toy, but I did wear it out, and I'm gonna say the Story of Star Wars record album. Now I had the little 45s, turn the page books, but this record, this was my Netflix. This is how I would watch Star Wars. How I have almost a photographic memory of every scene in Star Wars is mostly due to this album here. I love listening. And still today, when I watch Star Wars and it shows the Death Star, the Falcon coming in the Death Star, in my mind I think, hey, that's when you flip the record over. Still hits me today. So that's probably the thing, other than action figures, related to Star Wars, that I was most into. For some reason I didn't have the Empire Strikes Back story album, but I did have Return of the Jedi. I was a little older then, didn't get as much into it, and pretty soon around that time it was out on video. So it's just, between 77 and until it was released on video, or at least until it came on HBO, we recorded it off of HBO, you had to play that record in your head if you wanted to watch Star Wars. Where are we at now? What got you into collecting action figures as an adult, and when? This is kind of weird. I hit that time period when a lot of people around my age were early 20s, around 92, 93. It was kind of like a start of a toy boom right there. Collectors were, they wasn't kids anymore. They were going back collecting the old stuff or the new stuff at the stores. So it was right around that time, and I can remember... I just wanted to buy a Batman figure. I don't know why. So I think it was those original 89 Batman figures. I bought some of those, and then I got that price guide. I bought that price guide with Star Wars and Star Trek in it, because it was the only thing I ever seen at the store in the last couple of years that was Star Wars related. And I got that, and when I started seeing all this Star Wars figure stuff, it clicked. I was like, man, I'm going to go back and get this stuff. And I thought I was the only one. Went to a local comic book store, and the guy there just started selling vintage Star Wars stuff. And I couldn't believe it. And then at this time I was getting online on Prodigy, and I found these little news groups of people trading back and forth. And it sparked something. Then I started going down. I started putting a mark in that book I had at each figure, just going down the list. Every time I bought a figure, marking it off. And that's how it all started for me. But it was a lot. It seemed like it was an odd time, because I can't think of really what started it. But it just seemed right around between 92 and 94, there was just this spark that went off to a lot of people around my age in the early 20s that wanted action figures and stuff. Let's see where we at. Number 1. Can you believe it? We made it all the way to number 1, or also known as Deuce. Here we go, Deuce. What toy did you want badly as a kid, but you never could get? I can't really think of a lot of this. My grandparents spoiled me, or my grandma did. We had all the Star Wars stuff. I can remember looking for the Star Destroyer playset, which I never got. My brother wanted it, and I wanted it. One of us wanted it. Didn't matter who got it. We could both play with it. And I can remember that Christmas never being able to find that thing. And that's about the only Star Wars item between 78 to 83, a little in 84, that we never had. And I didn't have the last series, Return of the Jedi figure. I didn't have all of them, because by then I was getting out of it. And of course, Power of the Force. But anything else we had, AT-AT. Now, I didn't have the RC Sandcrawler. That would have been cool. That's one of my holy grails today. But most of the items we had, I would say 99% of everything we did have. So I couldn't really, other than that Star Destroyer playset, which now it doesn't even look that fun. I don't think I missed that much. I never had, the only other thing I can think of is not Star Wars related, and this was the late 80s, I guess, maybe early 90s, late 80s. I was still in high school. Man, I was really into Castlevania. I love that game, Castlevania, and I couldn't believe they was doing a sequel. I was all hyped up. Simon's Quest. I remember I looked for that game for almost a whole year because, you know, as a kid, even if you're in the early 20s or late teens, Christmas time was like that holiday where you, hey, I can get somebody to buy me something. I didn't have no job. All I had was some lunch money. I ain't gonna buy a $60 game. So I was like, hey, I want Simon's Quest for Christmas. Again, hit my grandmother up. Looked everywhere, could never find it. I remember going to Service Merchandise almost every day. Like, where is Simon's Quest? Never found it. Never could get it. Go to Toys R Us. Hope you see the card hanging up so you can take the card off. And I take the card to my grandma. Like, here, go back to Toys R Us. Give them this card. They'll give you the game. No, never. It was always sold out. And I never did play it till even years later. Then it wasn't as fun. But that's a lot for the Nintendo games. I love Nintendo games, but now going back, other than Mario and a few others, really hard to play. But that right there is 10 questions you guys seem to ask me a lot. Hey, in the comment section, let me know some more questions. And if this video does well, I'll do a part 2 and I'll answer some more of your questions. Or you might be like, I don't really care your thoughts on any of this, Junkman. Who cares? Who cares? Anyway, thumb up so you like my content, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again soon. I know, but somebody's going to put in the comment section that I don't know what deuce means. Watch and see.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.